The observation deck of the Zorvathian research vessel hummed with its usual low frequency, a sound that had become as familiar to Kara as her own heartbeat. She had been aboard for 6 standard months now, the only human among a crew of reptilian scientists who studied her species with the intensity of scholars examining a newly discovered artifact. At first, it had been uncomfortable. The Zorvathians were careful, clinical, treating her like a specimen rather than a colleague. But Kara had proven herself. She translated human behavior, explained Earth customs, and helped bridge the gap between 2 species that had only recently made contact. Slowly, the crew had warmed to her, or at least their version of warm, which involved fewer invasive scans and more invitations to their meal cycles. Today had been exhausting. Kara had spent 14 hours explaining human emotional responses to the science team, demonstrating everything from laughter to tears. The Zorvathians found human emotions fascinating and baffling in equal measure. How could a species survive when their decision-making was so heavily influenced by chemical reactions and social bonds? She collapsed onto the cushioned platform in her quarters, too tired to even change out of her uniform. Within moments, sleep claimed her. What Kara didn't know was that 3 decks below, in the environmental habitation wing, a problem had developed. The Zorvathians had recently taken aboard a family of Keltheran refugees, felinoid beings from a planet ravaged by civil war. Among them were several cubs, children who had known nothing but fear and loss. The ship's counselors were working with them, but progress was slow. The cubs were withdrawn, refusing comfort from the adult Zorvathians whose cold-blooded nature felt alien and threatening. Lior was the smallest of the cubs, barely 3 cycles old. His fur was a mottled gray, still fluffy with youth, and his golden eyes held a depth of sadness that no child should carry. He had stopped speaking 2 weeks ago. That night, Lior wandered. The ship's AI, programmed to be permissive with the traumatized refugees, didn't stop him. He padded through corridors on silent pause, searching for something he couldn't name. Warmth, perhaps. Safety. Home. He found Kara's door unlocked. She had forgotten in her exhaustion. The cub crept inside, his sensitive nose twitching. The scent was different from the Zorvathians. Warmer. Organic in a way that felt right. He approached the sleeping human cautiously, ears flat against his head. Ready to bolt, Kara breathed slowly, deeply. Her chest rose and fell with a rhythm that reminded Lior of his mother's purr. Without thinking, guided by instinct and desperate need, he climbed onto the platform. The surface dipped slightly under his weight, and he froze, but the human didn't wake. Carefully, so carefully, Lior curled up against Kara's side. Her body heat radiated through her clothing, and for the first time since his world had burned, Lior felt safe. He pressed closer, tucking his head under her arm. Within minutes, 2 more cubs appeared at the door. They had followed Lior's scent, curious about his boldness. When they saw him nestled against the human, sleeping peacefully for the first time in weeks, they crept forward. One curled up on Kara's other side. The third draped himself across her legs. Then more came. The ship's AI watched through environmental sensors as one by one, every Keltheran cub aboard found their way to Kara's quarters. They piled on and around her like living blankets, purring in their sleep. The sound built into a gentle chorus that resonated through the room. When Kara's alarm triggered 6 hours later, she woke to an impossible situation. She couldn't move. Everywhere she looked, there were cubs. 12 of them, maybe more. It was hard to count when they were all tangled together. They covered her legs, her arms, her torso. One particularly bold cub had claimed her chest as a pillow. Their combined weight was substantial, and every time she tried to shift, they snuggled closer, purring louder as if her movement was simply an invitation for more contact. Kara said to the empty room. Hello? The nearest cub, Lior, opened one golden eye. He looked at her, then deliberately closed his eye again and pressed his face into her shoulder. The door chimed. Kara! It was Dr. Thezrim, the Zorvathian chief researcher. You missed the morning briefing. Is everything? The door opened. Dr. Thezrim froze, his reptilian features incapable of showing surprise, but his tail went rigid. I can explain, Kara started, then realized she absolutely could not explain. Within minutes, the entire senior staff had gathered outside her quarters, staring at the impossible scene. The Keltheran guardians arrived, frantic. then stopped dead when they saw their cubs sleeping peacefully for the first time in weeks. "We've tried everything," one guardian whispered, her feline features tight with emotion. "Medication, therapy. They haven't slept through a night since the evacuation." Dr. Thesrim tilted his head, studying the scene with scientific fascination. "Humans are warm-blooded mammals," he said slowly. "Pack-bonding species. Their young require constant physical contact and temperature regulation. The cubs are responding to evolutionary cues. She registers as safe. As family," Kara tried again to move. 12 cubs simultaneously adjusted their positions to prevent this, purring reproachfully. "So," Kara said weakly, "how long do you think this will last?" The Keltharan guardian's whiskers twitched in what might have been amusement. "With trauma bonding? Weeks, maybe months. I need to use the bathroom." "That," Dr. Thesrim said, with what Kara could swear was reptilian humor, "will be a very carefully negotiated operation." As it turned out, humans weren't just remarkable for their endurance, their creativity, or their stubborn refusal to quit. They were remarkable because somehow, even alien children could sense what they offered: warmth, safety, and the simple comfort of not being alone. Leor purred against her shoulder, and despite everything, Kara smiled. She couldn't move, but perhaps that was exactly where she needed to be.